Let's bring in CBS News chief congressional correspondent Nancy Cordes. So, Nancy, what has the reaction been on Capitol Hill after this election?
Well, Republicans almost seemed more relieved than Democrats. You would think that they were the ones who had picked up a seat in Alabama's special election, because almost universally when we spoke to them, they said that this was a good thing, that Roy Moore didn't belong in the Senate, that Alabama voters clearly didn't want to elect someone who had dated 14-year-old girls, as Wisconsin's Ron Johnson put it, sort of in a tongue-in-cheek manner today. And so mostly they are just relieved that they are not going to get tied to Roy Moore in the 2018 election, that they're not going to have to initiate a messy ethics investigation because he's no longer coming to Congress, and that they don't have to deal with the groundbreaking headache of having to potentially expel the first sitting senator since the Civil War. Democrats, as you can imagine, are thrilled as well. They see this as validation of their argument that this president is historically unpopular and that it's acting as a weight among his entire party, and that Democratic chances in 2018 look pretty good. It also increases the chances of a Democratic pickup of 2 seats in the Senate in November, which would give them control of the Senate. Before the Alabama race, they were going to need to pick up 3 seats. That was kind of a tall order. But now they only need to pick up, let's say, Arizona, where Jeff Flake is retiring, and Nevada, where Dean Heller is up for re-election in what is truly a swing state. And so Democrats now believe that control of the Senate, even by a razor-thin majority, is within their grasp, and that is good news for a party that hasn't had a lot of good news lately.
Well, let's talk about tax reform. President Trump said House and Senate negotiators have reached a deal on the tax bill. Do we know what that deal looks like?
We know some of the details, Elaine, and we're getting more and more as time goes on. Among the things we can tell you, first of all, it sounds like the top tax rate will drop from 39.6%, which it is currently, to 37% if this bill is passed. We also know that House Republicans, and this is no surprise, okayed the removal of Obamacare's individual mandate that was in the Senate bill. So that will now be a feature of this compromise tax bill. They also took some steps to soften the blow of the elimination in the original bills of state and local tax deductions. That's something that Republican members of Congress from high tax states were very uncomfortable with. They felt that their voters would come out behind. Now taxpayers will be able to deduct the first $10,000 from either their property taxes or their state and local taxes. They can choose. So those are the types of details that we're getting, though Republicans say they still don't have final legislative text. They hope to get that done by Friday. Democrats already saying that they don't like this plan any better than they liked the original House and Senate versions. They think it is not a good deal for the middle class, and they will all be voting no.
The bottom line, though, does it still seem like Republicans are on track to pass this by Christmas?
It looks like they've got incredible discipline here, Elaine, and that they are absolutely on track. I mean, after all, you had the Senate and House conferees. These are the lawmakers who had been chosen to work out the differences between these 2 bills. They held their first public meeting on Wednesday, and before that meeting even happened, the president was announcing that they had a tentative deal. So clearly, Republican leaders have been working feverishly behind the scenes, and they do appear on track at this point to hold a Senate vote on Monday and a House vote on Tuesday. And that's especially important to them because now that they will be losing 1 Senate seat, it's only going to get more difficult for them to pass key legislation like this when they come back in January.
All right, Nancy Cordes on Capitol Hill for us. Nancy, thank you.